Hello dear students, good morning to all of you. Today we are going to start new unit number 4, and in this PEM subject this unit 4 is divided into the three parts. First part is poverty, then second part is unemployment, and third part is the inflation, right? So here there are the first part is the poverty. Okay, so let's start that what is the meaning of poverty and how its impact on our economy. Okay, so you should learn about this in this particular video lecture. Okay, so let's start it. First one, what is poverty? So poverty refers to the condition of the non having the means of the afford to basic human needs such as the clean water, nutrition, healthcare, and the clothing and shelter. The person who cannot, we can say, that achieve this condition for the basic need regarding the clean water, to have the particular nutrition, health, and clothing and shelter, so it's called the poverty. And this situation is called the poverty and person is called the poor. Okay, so the poverty is the condition of the having a fewer resources or the lesser income than the other within the society or country, or the compared to the worldwide is average. So it's considered as the poverty condition where your resources, you have the lesser resources and your condition is very poor to, we can say, achieve to the your level, right? You cannot achieve the minimum level of the life, we can say, lifestyle. That poverty is the word, it's that's its words when the people have to be deprived of the basic everything's need we every day take for the granted, like the food, water, shelter, and money and clothes, right? So it's indicate the condition in which the person fails to maintain a living standard and the adequate comfortable lifestyle, so it's called the poverty. Then poverty according to the UN, United Nations. So fundamentally poverty is the denial of the choice and the opportunity, a violation of the human dignity. So it means to lack of the basic capacity to the participate effectively in the society. So it's called the poverty. It means not having the enough to feed the clothes and the family, not having a schools or the clinic to go to, not having the land on which they have to grow one's foods or the job to earn the, we can say, to live. So not to having this access to credits, it means the insecurity, powerlessness, and the execution of the individual and the household and the community. These are also considered as the poverty situation. It means there are to be a susceptible and the violence, and so often into implies the living on the marginal and the peripheral environment without the access to clean water and the sanitation. They have to, we can say, live in the in the area. They cannot face, we can say, they cannot have any facility regarding the sanitizations, regarding the good environment and the good, we can say, quality of food. So this all, we can say, point of are considered in the whenever you have to analyze regarding the poverty. So here you see that are the one situation is given to you that why this type of poverty is, we can say, considered. So here you see that poverty. Okay, how is poverty arise? So because they cannot work. Okay, why they cannot work? Because they have the lack situation, we can say lack education and the disease. Okay, because poverty have to face, because they have to be a fewer jobs opportunity, because they cannot get the higher education, so they cannot have any facility to get the appropriate job to get the higher, we can say, salary and the higher increment in their income. So they have the lack educations and the disease is converted, they cannot do any work, and they have to be a hungerness because they cannot have a, we can say, feed their family members, right? So this poverty is considered, this diagram you can easily understand this, because of poverty they cannot get the education, they have to face this various types of disease, so they can't work appropriately with their efficiency and effectiveness, and so they cannot get the higher jobs opportunity. Okay, then after, what are the types of poverty? So there are the main two types of this poverty. First one is absolute poverty and the relativeness poverty. So first one is absolute poverty means what? It refers to the state of the saver to be a deprivations of the basic human need. the person who cannot, we can say, get the basic human needs like the food, water and shelter, so it's considered as the absolute poor. It refers to the measures of the poverty they have to keeping in the view per capita and the intake of the calories and the minimum level of consumption. Our government have to given the various types of calorie estimate, like there are the given, the government given the calorie estimate that in the village station, if the people are living in the village, at that time they have to be required to 2400 calories per day, and if they are working in the city, at that time they have to be a requirement of the 2100 calories of the food, from the food, right. If they cannot get this minimum calories from the food, then they have to consider as the poor person, and their situation is considered as the poverty. Okay, I hope you understand it. And why this calorie measurement is higher than city to the village? Because in the village we can say they have to mostly working from the farming activity, poultry activities and fisheries activities, right. So they have to be required the higher, we can say, stamina, so that's why they have to be get the higher calories than the city peoples, right. Then after, what is the meaning of per capita income? Per capita income is what? There are the national income divided by population. If our national income is higher, then per capita income is also automatically higher. Okay, take the example, if our family income is 20,000 and our family members are 4, then per head you can get the 5,000 rupees, and if your income is higher from 20 to 40,000 and peoples are same, right, so you can get the double amount, 10,000 rupees, right. So this all are considered on the basis of per capita income. So our national income must be higher, then and then we achieve the good facility regarding this, we can say, reduce the poverty in our country. Then after, relative poverty, from the name is self stated, when you have to comparize, or we can say doing the comparison between the two class, and the relativeness, if a one class is lesser than the higher class, so it's considered as the relative poor and on the basis of the other persons. So here you see, the understand this relative poverty, the economical condition of the different regions and the countries compare. Here you have to compare the different regions, like take the example, we can say that the Gujarat is financially and development, we can say, developed state than the Orissa and Bihar, right. So they have to be doing this type of comparison, and then after we have to get the poor person, so it's considered as the relative poor. I hope you understand it. Then in the country as they compare, right, from the country comparison, you can take the example that from on the basis of the comparison to India and America. So America, we can say, there are the riches than the we can say India, right. And if you compare our India with the Afghanistan, so then our India is, we can say, that highly richest country than the Afghanistan. Okay, so here you can compare the two class and relative poor according to the classes. So it's defined that the contextually and economical, we can say, inequality in the location or the society in which the people they have to live. So the capita income and the national income are the two indicators of the relative poverty. From the relative poverty, you can identify that if the per capita income is lesser and your national income is lesser, then you can identify that our country will be considered as the poor country. Then according to UNO, means United Nations organizations, those countries are treated poor whose per capita income is less than the US dollar 725 per annum. If any country have the lesser in per capita income than the $725, then they have to consider as the poor country, because this standard is considering for the, we can say, that easily comparison, because different country have the different type of, we can say, that currency, right. So if we have to doing the comparison with the rupees and dollars, so we cannot get the right, we can say, analysis, right. So that's why all the country have to transfer, or we can say analyze their income and transfer their income in the dollar value, and then after they have to doing comparison. Then here there are the measurement of poverty. So income expenditure method and the income method. First one, there are the expenditure method. Under this, there are the minimum food requirements for the survive this estimate. In the expenditure method, they have to be get the analyzed that if a person cannot have the we can say that any amount that they cannot expense the minimum food, so they according to expenditure method they are the poor families. And income method, this method is used to by the government while the distributing the food through the PDS. PDS means what? Public, here there are the one word is considered that PDS. PDS means public distribution system, like the rationing shops, right? So at the local level, if they have to consider there this type of we can say that one type of we can say subsidies and one type of we can say that help to the poor people, at that time they have to be consider the income level, and they have to be provide the BPL card, this below the poverty line, and APL cards means above the poverty line, and according to that they have to provide the ration to from the rationing shop. Then the food value is converted into the category. In the last slide I discussed that in the village level they have to require 2400 calories, and for the city level they have to require 2100 calories per day, right? Under this poverty line they have to fix by the government has to decide the poverty line, and according to that they have to be given the we can say that help to the public. Okay. Then after the calorie value of the food is then to convert it into the money value, example in the rupees. Okay, they have to be doing this conversion, and this conversion is considered that if the people are living in the village, so per day they have to be required the 21 rupees, and if the person are working in the city, they have to require the per day 51 rupees for getting their basic need. Then after, the total equivalent amount is considered as the poverty line, and here there are the all families whose total income is less than the poverty line is fixed by the government are considered as a BPL. BPL means below the poverty line. Okay, and they have to be get the higher we can say facilities and help whichever to be considered by the government. Okay. Then after here consider that poverty line means what? The poverty is we can say that the poverty is there hold to be a poverty line and the minimum level of income deemed to adequate in a given country. If you cannot consider this minimum we can say amount, then you have to consider as the poor person. In the practice, like the definition of the poverty of the official or the common understanding of this poverty line is signified the higher development countries than the developing countries. So this is there are we can say consider that the basic level they have to be defined the different level of the company, because we can say country cannot have the particular we can say phenomena, because some countries are the considered as the lower level development, some countries are considered as the developing country, developed country. So according to that they have to be decide the poverty line. The common international poverty line in the past to be a rough as the $1 per day. If the person cannot earn the $1 per day, so they are considered as a below the poverty line person. Then in 2008, the World Bank come out with the revised figure that if the person cannot earn $1.25 at the 2005 purchasing power parity, means triple P is considered as a purchasing power parity, so they have to be considered as poor. So determining this poverty line is usually done by the finding the total cost of the all necessary resources that an average human adults have to consume in one day. So 1 year. So the largest of the expense is the typically we can say that rent required for the live in the apartment. So historically there are the economics have to pay the particular attention to the real estate market and the housing price, and as the strong poverty line is affected, because different we can say different situation, according to different situation there are the totally we can say change, and there are the continuously increase in the rent level, and we can say there are the basic need whatever the foods are required, there are the increasing in the price level. So this all are considering in poverty line. And why this type of poverty is considered? So there are the causes of poverty. First one, there are the lack of education. Because of lack of education, a person cannot get the we can say appropriate education, so they cannot get the job, and if they cannot get the job, so they have to working in the we can say in finance sectors which cannot be defined. Okay, so they have to get the lesser amount of the salary, and so they have to be a poor. Then after large scale of import, if the any country can get the higher import from the another country, so they have to given the higher we can say export value import value to the country. So that's why country continuously get the we can say borrowed money from the other firms, so they have to consider as the poor we can say that country. Then division of the agricultural land, sometimes division of agricultural land cannot appropriately, so that's why some we can say farmers face this type of crucial situation, and they cannot get the we can say maximum production from the land, and that's why they have to be considered as a poor farmer. Then after moral culture, sometimes moral have to be a face this type of, sometimes some people have the quality and efficiency to doing this type of work, but they cannot work, so that's why they have to be doing this type of poverty, and they have to be a one type of face this type of situation, right. So then after government policies, if a government policies are considered, that's why some people cannot doing the work, right. Take the example, there are the various types of we can say facility provided by the government to the poor people, and they cannot use this we can say that they have to misuse, right, not use name, but they we can say they have to misuse, okay, this type of facilities, and that's why this type of causes of poverty are created. Government has to provide the we can say stitching machine, right, and they cannot get this machine, and they have to get the machine, and then after they have to sell, so they cannot we can say they can have not work, their mentality has not doing the work, so that's why they have to face this type of situation. Then corruption, if the corruption are higher in the we can say country, so that's why our national income cannot increase, and our national income cannot increase, then our per capita income is not increased, and overall we can say our country has to face the poverty. Then privatization is very biggest we can say situation nowadays. Many sectors are converted from the public to private sector, and some issues are also considered in the BSNL firms. So if a privatization sector is converted, so that's why various person can lose their job, and that's why they have to face the poor situation. Then after overpopulation, some people and some families we can say that small we can say small we can say that some people cannot have the different type of we can say ideal we can say not mentality, right. They have to be considered as the thought that if we have the one children, then it's a one type of our asset, they have to be earn for us. So they have this type of mentality, and that's why they have to face this type of poor situation. Then unemployment, if they cannot get the job according to their level, so that's why they cannot earn the appropriate amount of the salary, and they have to be face the poor situation. Then after law and order, sometimes law and orders are not appropriate for their job, so that's why they have to lose their job, and this faces the poor situation. There are the best example regarding this, there are the Nestle's product Maggi, right. If the Maggi banned in India, that's why there are the various we can say number of people have to lose their jobs, right. Now there have to be a restart, but from the starting phase there are the number of people have to lose their job, and they have to face this poor situation. Then after increase in the utility carriage charges, so sometime increase in the utility charges have to be a faces the poverty, because if there are the charges is higher, then people cannot get the appropriate facilities. Then after inflation means there are the we can say continuously changes in the production prices and production factor, so it's considered as the inflation. If the inflation is higher, then people cannot meet their basic needs, right. Then impositions of the tax, if the taxes is higher, then country can pay the higher taxes on the import and lesser taxes on the export, so that's why they have to face the poor situation. Then non-productive expenditure, sometimes government doing the expenditure which are very non-productive. Take the example, if they have to provide the we can say some government have to provide that in the ITI sector they have to provide the various type of courses in the free of cost, but some students are only go for they have to conduct these courses for the certificate. They cannot get the this course for their, we can say, for further job requirement. So that's why this type of expenditure are non productive expenditure, and that's why government have to face the higher expense and they cannot get the income. Then low living standard, if there are the low living standard, then they have to facilitate the less, we can say, health facility, and that's why they have to be continuously in the, we can say, faces the various type of disease, right. Then after landlordism, in the, we can say, in the past and tradition, some, we can say, there are the landlord have to face that they have to only given their land for the working or cultivation of their farm, and they cannot provide the appropriate amount to the farmers, and that's why farmers have to face the poor situation. Then after nepotism, nepotism is various, we can say, consider in the various sector, and I hope you understand about it. Then after backward infrastructure, if our infrastructure is backward, and that's why we cannot get the higher income. Take the example, in our India there are the various we can say villages. Nowadays they have to using the traditional method, okay, for the agriculture activities, and that's why they cannot get the appropriate production from the land. Then after, what are the effect of the poverty? So first one is a child labor. If there are the we can say that a person cannot feed their family, so that's why their child can work at the different factories, and we can say there are the different sectors, so child labor is higher. Then after crimes and violence, because of the, we can say, they have to consider the borrowed money from the other person, and they have to be repayment this money, and if they cannot repay this money, so they have to be doing this violence and crimes. Then after health problem, because they cannot have they cannot get a particular nutritions from the they cannot get the particular calories, that's why they have to be consider the health problems. Then after, from a moral and the religious value, sometimes for the moral and religious values are also affected from the poverty, because sometimes their moral may be down because they cannot get the particular, we can say, increment and income. Then homelessness, because of the poverty, sometimes people can sell their home and they to be face the homelessness situation. Shorter lives, why there are the shorter lives? Because their health, we can say, first we can say our wealth is our health, right, and they cannot get the appropriate, we can say, nutritions and any we can say that cannot treat their body very appropriately, so that's why their life will be shorter. Then children antisocial behavior, children's behavior be considered as the antisocial because continuously they have to face this poverty situation, so their mindset will be considered as the antisocial. Then after hunger, because of the first one is the our, we can say, first one is the need of our, we can say, food, right, so they have to be face this type of hungerness. What are the solution of the poverty? So first one, ensuring the resource for the poor. Sometimes there are the various type of facilities provided by government for the BPL person, and BPL card is have the richest person, right, so this is a very bad, we can say, situation in our India. So first one, you should ensure that particular and the right person have to be get the right, we can say, help, right. Then after, by empowering the poor, you should give the empowerment regarding, we can say, given the new, we can say, skills and knowledge to the poor, so they can get the easily we can say their earning. Then after, equalness over the market, and you can doing the equalness over the market, so that's why all the people get the right job. Then increasing the agriculture, because in the agriculture sector there are the requirement of the higher human beings, so that's why if increasing in agriculture they have to require the higher labor, and that's why the poor person get the job and get their we can say earning facility. Then after development in the construction, if they are doing the development in construction, so that's why there are the various type of, we can say, labors and wage, we can say require of the labors, right. So that's why they can get the easily income. Then after role of microfinance, role of microfinance means what? Some banks, like take the example Ujjivan. Ujjivan, there are the one type of bank, and they have to provide the microfinance to the sector, to the person who have to start a new sector like the Grih Udyog. Okay. Then after health facility, you should provide the health facility. You have to take the example in our Bhavnagar, there are the Sir Takht Singh Ji hospital, they have to provide health facility within the 2 rupees, right. So this type of facility provide the poor, so they can, their life can be appropriate. Then poverty eliminating programs, you have to doing this program that you should eliminate the poverty. Then economical growth, if our economical growth of the country is higher, then automatically our situation regarding the poverty can, we can say, solve our poverty problem. Then education, if you give the education, then that's why they can educate and they can get the jobs. Then population controlling, if they are doing this population control, then all person get the right job. Then development of the agricultural land, agricultural lands development, so that's why they have to get the income. Then there are the various programs are considered for the poverty elimination programs. There are the Suvarna Jayanti Gram Swarojgar Yojana. Under this Yojana, they have to provide the particular skills and to the unskilled people, so they can get the job. Then Sampurna Gramin Rojgar Yojana, there are the provide for the rural, we can say villages, so that's why they can get easily jobs. Then Prime Minister Rojgar Yojana, under this they have to provide the, we can say, they have to provide the some type of courses like IIT, in the IIT, and they also provide the teaching course, so they can easily get the we can say their earning point of view, right, they can get their earning. Then after Suvarna Jayanti Shahari Rojgar Yojana, under this they have to provide the facility to the poor who are stay in the cities. Then after Pradhan Mantri Gramodwar Yojana, under this Gramodwar Yojana, they have to provide the particular facility regarding the 100 days facility, 100 days working facility to the wage laborers. Then after National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, according to that they have to given the particular courses, they have to be help to the poor people to have to learn about the new things, and then after they have to give the guarantee to regarding the work. So thank you so much. Here our we can say that poverty chapter regarding the chapter unit number 4 part 1 is completed. So if you have any query regarding this poverty, you can ask me anytime. After watching this video lecture, you should learn from your textbook. Okay, thank you so much.